Welcome to the Insomnia Project. Sit back, relax, and listen as we have a conversation about the mundane. One thing we can promise is that our conversation will be less than fascinating, so you can feel free to drift off. Thank you for joining us. We hope you will listen and sleep. I'm your host, Marco Timpano.
And I'm your co-host, Nidhi Khanna.
Nidhi, I took a course today on crystals and rocks.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I thought our listeners might find it relaxing, and I noticed that there was a rock store near my house that was offering this sort of introductory course on various crystals and gems and rocks and whatnot, and I thought, I don't know much about that, so maybe I'll take a course in that. And I know that some people will use rocks or gems or crystals in particular to help them get over stressful events or to bring money or abundance or even love into their lives, almost like a talisman or a sort of energy stone or something
like the crystal healing that one does sometimes at a naturopathic type of doctor or spa, let's say.
There's a lot of wives' tales around certain crystals and whatnot, like amber, to put amber around a child when they're teething or as a sign of protection. Have you ever heard of that?
I have not heard of that, actually.
I didn't hear of that either. And then my wife Amanda pointed out that we saw a child, and I was like, why is there a amber necklace around that infant? And she said, the child is probably teething, and it's something that supposedly alleviates the pain of teething in children. And so the more I sort of thought or inquired about this, the more it was coming into my life. And when I saw that the rock store near my home was offering a course, I said, well, I think I'll take it, and then you and I could converse about it.
I'd like to know a little bit more about what you learned on this course, Marco, because my only experience with crystals has been, I did have some crystal healing once.
Oh, you did?
Done on me to open up my chakras, and I don't know if it actually did anything.
So I'm going to ask you about that, because what's funny is I've never had crystal healing. I just took this course on a whim. It's interesting because it brought up some things that we may have learned back in grade school. For example, we got into rocks and the three different types of rock: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rock. And I don't know if you recall what each one of those means.
Well, I think sedimentary rock is sort of like the rock that you would find in a cliff, for example.
That's a great assumption you made, because it is often found in cliffs because it's formed by the material being deposited on top of each other. So, for example, sand being deposited in rock on top of it, and more sand and whatnot. So, for example, sandstone, which is a sedimentary rock, you can actually see the layers of sand that comprise sandstone. So over the years, as each layer builds on another, it kind of compresses and then becomes a rock.
And isn't that how they tell, how geologists, I guess, would tell how old the Earth is, or a particular era in the Earth's history?
I believe so. Now, we didn't get into that sort of aspect of it, but much like the rings of a tree, I would imagine you would be able to tell how old various types of sedimentary rock is. And gypsum, Epsom salt, shale, even marble are examples of sedimentary rocks.
That's fascinating, Marco. And so does that mean you mentioned Morpheus rock?
Yes.
And other than being a villainous superhero, I would assume that Morpheus rock is sort of like volcanic rock.
You would be wrong.
Oh, okay.
So igneous rock is made up from the cooling and the cooling of magma.
Okay.
And then when it solidifies, it becomes various types of rock. And, things like obsidian. Have you ever seen obsidian? It's a really shiny black, it almost looks like glass.
Okay.
That's when magma cools, it becomes obsidian, or some forms of magma when they cool. Granite, pumice, the stone that
Yes.
you often,
Yeah.
people will often use to
Clean their feet.
clean their feet, or yeah, I guess you rub the stone against hard skin and it helps to peel it away. These are examples of igneous rock. Now, metamorphic rocks are rocks that have had some sort of change. So there are rocks that were like originally igneous or sedimentary. So partly you are right, because if they were igneous, they would have been from the Earth's crust, in other words, from magma and whatnot. But they were changed from heat or pressure. So over many thousands of years, when the Earth's crust would move, it would cause these rocks to get squeezed. So that sort of heat from the pressure of those rocks sort of being smushed together. And I don't use the word smushed very often, but when I do, I use it in its proper context.
Yes, you do.
And examples of that would be limestone and marble as well. So different types of marble are from metamorphic rock.
So was the point of the course to discern different rock formations, or was it to how you would use those rocks in a particular context?
Well, it's sort of, I don't want to say the history, but it certainly got really into depth with various aspects of geology. So from different types of rocks to the periodic table, which brings me to the next thing I wanted to ask you. Do you know any elements from the periodic table?
Marco, I can recite the first little bit of the periodic table.
Really? And do you have like a method to recite it, or is it just in your long-term memory?
It's in my long-term memory because when I was in high school, I was very science focused, and we had to learn the elements of the periodic table. So I believe I'll see how far I can get.
Okay.
And I might get it wrong.
No, that's fine. This is not a test. Okay. We're not seeing how well you do in order to get into a science-based field or university. Perfect. This is more of a, let's see what you can recall with regards to the periodic table.
Okay. So let us begin. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium.
And I am following on the periodic table, as you say, so that's number 4.
Yes, so hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. Now is where it gets confusing. So neon is an inert gas, Marco, so it has to be one of the first, I think it's the second row first element.
Okay.
So neon, sodium.
You got it.
I did.
Sodium, which is its periodic.
Na.
You're right.
Yep.
Thank you.
So sodium. So it has to be a +2 or a -2 element.
And I don't know what that means in the slightest. Sodium is the 11th one, which you did get correctly.
Right. I know chlorine's in that line.
No, chlorine is not the 12th.
It's not the 12th.
It's 17.
It's 17. So what comes next?
Magnesium.
Magnesium.
So we'll stop there at 12 because I'm sure.
Calcium comes after somewhere.
Yes.
Okay.
It does. I don't think it's 13, but unless calcium is Al, as it's.
No, that's aluminum.
Yeah. So it's not number 13.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I only have a very small periodic table of elements in front of me, and it doesn't give me
all of them.
all the names of it. Just the.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, well, that's fascinating. I applaud you, Nidhi, for knowing that, because I certainly did not know any of them.
No.
At least not in the order. I do know them. If you were to
as elements.
Yeah, as elements, correct. But so we got into a lot of sort of the nitty-gritty with regards to rocks and crystals and the difference between a rock and a crystal. In this case, when they're talking about a crystal, they're not talking about, you know how you can get crystal jewelry or crystal things to hang in your window. Swarovski makes a lot of crystal, which is lead in glass, so it refracts light. Here we're talking about crystals that you may have seen or you'll see in jewelry.
Okay.
So a lot of people will have certain types of jewelry that have crystals, and those crystals have different properties. So, for example, are you familiar with blue topaz?
I am.
So blue topaz would be one of those crystals, and its properties, and once again, this is just sort of a simple sort of look at blue topaz, and it if you were to wear blue topaz, even though its sort of general properties are this, it might be different for you because the way you connect with that particular crystal may be very different than the way I connect
energy.
The energy, and because crystals have minerals in them, which are found in our bodies, depending on how the minerals in your body
Chemically
reacts with that crystal, will bring up different things.
Sure.
Whether or not you believe that is entirely up to you, and certainly we here at the Insomnia Project aren't telling you whether or not this is true or not. It just happens to be based on a course that I took today. So blue topaz. Now, do you own any blue topaz?
I don't. I have rose quartz. Is that a crystal?
It is. And I'll tell you more about rose quartz in a minute.
Okay.
Let me just make sure I write that down, or I'll forget as I go through some of these. So blue topaz is one that we're going to need to get you, Nidhi.
Okay.
And we're going to get for myself as well, because its properties are communication.
Oh, look at
so
that.
Expressing yourself, both speaking and writing. So that would be a great thing to be wearing when we're doing this show, which we're not. Are you wearing any crystals right now?
I'm not wearing any crystals, but Marco, that would be a fascinating experiment to try. Maybe if next time we could get some blue topaz and sort of see if there's any difference in our communication style or our energy with the show. That would be a fascinating experiment to conduct.
You know what? We will do that for the next show, because I know that Amanda, my wife, has a few pieces of blue topaz, and I know that because I bought them for her.
Well, there you go.
We'll just raid her jewelry box while she's away, and
it's perfect.
And wear them. You were asking about rose quartz. So rose quartz is a pink variety of quartz. So if you're not, as the name would suggest, it's a very light pink stone, and it's the universal love stone.
Yes.
It restores both trust and harmony in relationships. So if you are thinking you want to find love or restore love or just reconnect with your loved one, grab yourself some rose quartz, put it in your pocket. I was also told...
It's also good to love yourself. I believe for people who have certain confidence issues,
without a doubt,
or you hold some rose quartz, and it's supposed to help you heal yourself.
Look at you. Earlier you said you didn't know anything about crystals, but in fact you do have some.
I can't believe that, actually.
Knowledge. The other thing about rose quartz, someone told me that it's great to have at your bedside. It's a good stone to have at your bedside.
Yes.
So it's a really interesting thing to note anyways. Another popular crystal, and I'll only go through a couple, Nidhi, because I don't think we have to go through the entire. There's so many. There's over 3,000 different rocks and crystals that we've identified so far, and there's probably even more. Garnet. Now, do you know what a garnet looks like?
Is that sort of like a deep reddish purpley stone?
Yes, it's a really deep red stone, and it's an energizing stone. And it also is a protective stone, and way back in the day it was believed that if you wore garnet, it protected you from the evil eye. So that's an interesting thing. And I'm mentioning the more popular stones that you'll find in jewelry, and these are the ones I've sort of picked randomly.
Absolutely.
But if there's a stone that you think of Nidhi, feel free to mention it, and we'll see if we can figure out what the properties of that particular stone
Well, I
are.
wonder, stones like, now, is opal a stone?
It definitely is. It definitely is a stone. It's a crystal.
Right.
And you know what's interesting about opal? I believe it's the stone for the birth month of October.
Ah,
And I believe opal is mined primarily in Australia, or they have a large sort of opal mines, and a lot of opals come from Australia.
okay.
And the old wives' tale with opal is that only people who are born in October should be wearing opal.
You know, they say a similar thing about blue sapphire.
Which is
So-
September's birthstone.
Oh, interesting. So, blue sapphire is a very powerful stone, and it can either give you tremendous amounts of good fortune and luck,
Oh,
or if worn by the wrong person and it has a adverse effect, as you were mentioning before, different stones can have different impacts.
right.
If it has an adverse
Effect.
effect, it can actually destroy a person.
Really?
Yes, that's
So-
how powerful that stone is.
So be wary
Of blue sapphire.
of blue sapphire and opal, according to wives' tales. Now, its primary element is oxygen in opal. That's one of the things I learned
Okay.
on the course. A lot of the time, I actually tuned out a bit, Nidhi, because it
Did you
got.
pay for this course, Marco?
I did, but you know, sometimes you take a course and the teacher is energetic and really involved, and you really connect with them.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you don't.
So, was there, what was the particular takeaway or one or two things that you just found, learnings or fascinating facts that you said, okay, you know what, this course was worth it?
You know, I think what I found interesting was that because our bodies are made up with minerals, and obviously these crystals are made up with minerals, we will connect with the stone, and depending on the minerals that one has in their body, the amount or the lack of, you'll connect to different crystals and stones because of that. That's one of the takeaways I found that was very interesting. I will say though, if I was to say two stones that I think everyone should have based on the properties that were discussed, one would be, and I'm going to ask you if you know what this stone looks like, and then
Sure.
I'll correct it if you don't, or I'll mention what it is. Citrine.
Oh, you love this stone.
I do
You
love this
buy
stone.
Amanda citrine all the time.
I do.
Isn't it sort of orangey, kind of in that shade of family?
Correct. It's a very, very pale orange crystal. And the reason I buy Amanda citrine is because I read that it brings abundance, in particular with money and security with regards to employment and just abundance in every shape and form. So not only monetary abundance, but health, love, you name it, citrine brings abundance. And the reason I purchased so much citrine for Amanda is because I read that somewhere, and I happened to find a citrine ring that was on sale. So I said, well, it certainly couldn't hurt. I don't know if I believe it or not, but let me buy her this ring and see what happens. And actually, to be truthful, that's not how it started. We happened to be in one of those stores that sells, you know, incense and potpourri and crystals and
Sure.
teas and things like that.
Right.
And they happen to have candles on sale.
Okay.
So we looked at the section because Amanda wanted a candle. This was in Thunder Bay. She was working in Thunder Bay. We looked at the candles that were on sale, and they were candles that had crystals in them. So, like, for example, I think there was one that had garnet in it. We mentioned garnet. I think one had amethyst and one had solidite or something. And we were looking at the different properties that it had, and it just so happened to have citrine the one we purchased because it said abundance. We're like, let's buy the citrine candle. So we bought that. Amanda lit it, and the day she lit it, she got an offer for another job. So we thought, wow, that's an awesome coincidence. And then I came home, and she was still working in Thunder Bay, and I had been waiting for a particular check for almost 4 months. And I was like, I'm going to have to call and find out when this check is going to come. And that day, I went to the mailbox, and there was a check. So I called him, and I said, did you happen to light the candle? She said, I lit it maybe 2 minutes ago. Why do you ask? And I said, I just went to the mailbox, and
wow.
I got this check that I'd been waiting for. So then I found a ring with citrine, and I gave it to Amanda, and she thought it was really pretty. And so she said, I never would have bought this stone, but on my hand it looks really nice. And because of that, every time I sort of see citrine, it's not a very expensive crystal, especially in jewelry, so I tend to buy her. I say if it brings abundance, great, and if it doesn't, well, at least she has a pretty ring or earrings or necklace. The last stone I'll mention is, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, peridot.
I've never heard of that stone.
I think it's peridot. Please forgive me if I've said it incorrectly, but it's a really light green, almost like a bottle green stone.
Like an emerald type of
stone?
No,
it's lighter in color.
Light.
Like
okay.
Or maybe more like a lime green. Sorry, I think I gave the wrong sort of color to it.
Okay.
It's actually, I think it's, the perfect, it's a chartreuse colored stone, a light chartreuse colored stone.
Okay. And when do you get to use the word chartreuse?
I guess only when you like to have a drink of chartreuse, or when you're mentioning that particular color of green.
There you go.
Its properties are that it alleviates jealousy, spite, bitterness, and hatred. So it's a great stone to give someone who
might not like you.
You have a problem with. It also reduces stress, anger, and guilt.
Now that's interesting, because don't they say that jealousy is a green-eyed monster?
Oh, they do, don't they?
And here we have a greenish colored stone to alleviate jealous tendencies in people.
Sure. Let me ask you this. So, if there was one gemstone or crystal that you have a lot of, what would that be? And it could be like diamonds or pearls or any of those things.
I would have to say diamonds, because I'm not very big on actual gemstone necklaces. Like, my mother loves gems, like gemstone necklaces, like the big chunky stones. And it's just not my thing. However, I love diamonds.
Okay.
Particularly the ones that my mom has in her jewelry that I tend to braid and take as my own.
I see.
So I've been very fortunate to be able to have diamonds in my repertoire. And you've seen a couple of the rings that I have, and I just find them very it makes me feel very elegant without trying very difficult.
You have
hard.
a small ring.
Yes.
That has the brightest diamond. The Solitaire one. You have it has the brightest diamond. So obviously it was cut, and the quality of that diamond must be superb, because every time you wear it, I spot it. Do you have pearls?
I do. So, just to backtrack on the diamonds for a second. The diamonds were they're cut and set in India. Oh. So it's
Is it a different style of cutting and setting?
No, I think it's just probably cheaper than getting a diamond cut and set here.
But I think
because you have
India has great craftsmen when it comes to
well,
jewelry,
that's what I was going to say. Every family kind of has their family jeweler.
I see.
Whereas, so you wouldn't really go to, you wouldn't go to Tiffany's or to other diamond, wherever it may be. You'd actually go to your family jeweler, which is why the craftsmanship is a lot different because you also get to design things yourself, so you can have things that are custom made.
And when I was in India, I noticed that there was a lot of jewelers in a lot of places where you could buy like different types of bracelets and bangles and
Yes.
stuff, and women wore a lot of jewelry.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's sort of my fascination with diamonds, but it's only been recent as I got older, but in terms of pearls, to answer your question, I do have pearls. I have a few pearl sets. We went to China when I was quite young, and we were able to actually go to a pearl making factory to see how pearls were made, which was really interesting.
You know, they say about pearls, it should be the last thing you put on and the first thing you take off.
Oh, I did not know
And
that.
that'll be the last thing we talk about on this particular episode, so we want to thank our listeners.
We, as always, are broadcasting from Toronto, and the Insomnia Project is produced by Drumcast Productions. Thank you for listening, and join us next time.